What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 19 of the Fourth and Long podcast. 19 today, baby. Hell yeah. Making money moves. I am, of course...
I didn't get to say this I didn't get to say our last show, our 18th show.
Yeah.
I didn't get to say, but the Fourth and Long podcast is now legal.
Oh, we are now legal. All right. We're going to be able to drink in a few episodes
ladies and
now.
Gentlemen.
Round of applause, yeah.
Yeah, a few more episodes we'll be able to drink.
Without, self-imploding. So, cool. But, of course, I'm your host, Ross.
Well, we have
And
self-imploded
I'm once
a couple
again
times.
joined by the not-so-bald, but still bald beast, Jalen Johnson.
Yay.
Appreciate that. This week, we are doing a rundown, of course, of the NFL Divisional round, which was, once again, insane. Then we got a couple questions we're going to put up to we're kind of debate amongst us two and see just what we think. And also from these, I would love to hear what you guys have to think. Breaking news in the NFL today as well. Also, big-time news coming out of the XFL. We will get to that at the end, but first we're going to start things off with one of our favorite segments. It's been away for a few weeks now, but we're bringing it back. It is the Things in Sports We Like corner. And Jalen, start us off this week. What did you like in sports?
The things I like in sports, this week, it's the unpredictability. It's come up a couple of times earlier in a couple of our older shows.
I feel like
but
what we
how
like this week,
unpredictable.
I feel like it shares pretty big similarity between us two.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Just how unpredictable sports could be. You never know. Teams show up some days, they don't show up another day, and some teams don't show up all season, and then they show up in the playoffs. And it's amazing to see the Titans are in the AFC Championship game after going 9-7.
Yep.
After starting off 1-4.
Yep.
What was it? 1-5.
It was something bad.
And then behind Ryan, something really bad. And then behind Ryan Tannehill and King Henry have just absolutely turned their season around and are now one game away from going to the Super Bowl and 2 games away from winning the Super Bowl. Which, if you told me that after week 6, I would have told you, you're out of your fucking mind.
Right. That's what I'm saying, man. But I love the NFL, especially in the playoffs. Any given Sunday hasn't been more true than it has been this season, it seems like. From the Titans doing crazy stuff, the Vikings being the Saints. The Titans also being the Ravens, which we'll get to. Man, just some crazy-ass games. And speaking crazy, that Kansas City-Houston game, we'll get to that as well. Just
crazy.
Embarrassing, crazy, stupid, whatever the hell you want to call it. We'll talk about it. But I agree with you. I just really like the NFL playoffs right now. The wildcard round was solid. The divisional round was once again a really good weekend of football. And then we have the AFC Championship and NFC Championship games to look forward to. And I am really liking these NFL playoffs right now.
Definitely one of the best playoffs we've had in a while.
Oh, definitely. The best playoffs of the decade, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on into our NFL divisional round recap. We're going to start things off. We're going to go in order of the games in the order that they were played. So, of course, we're going to start things off with the Vikings at the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners took home a big dubski with a final score of 27-10. This was the San Francisco 49ers' first playoff win in 6 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, poor Niner fans. Now those annoying fuckers are finally getting some winning football. Good for them, I guess.
Yeah, good for them.
Big takeaway is that the Niner defense really shut down the Vikings rushing attack. Dalvin Cook was held to 19 carries for 18 yards and 0 touchdowns. And Jalen, that's not a good game.
Not a good game at all. Not a good game on a video game. It's not a good game in the NFL. It's not a good game in high school. It's not a good game anywhere. I'm referencing Dr. Seuss. It didn't rhyme, but you guys know what I mean.
Why the fuck do I still have you on the show?
Because I'm the co-host.
I could take that away any second, but I won't today because I'm nice. In a good mood.
Yeah, one of the things we like. So.
No, we're not things we like anymore.
Not we're on it, but we start off with the things we like, so let's
so
stay
that puts
positive.
it in the positive mood. I feel it. Besides Dalvin Cook getting absolutely shut the fuck out. Yeah, Kirk Cousins going back to the most average, mediocre quarterback that he always seems to be in big games. Well, at least he was,
AKA primetime Cousins.
His saving grace, silver lining Vikings fans. Kirk Cousins wasn't shit on Saturday. He was just not good. So, if we're going off of track record and tendencies, I think that's actually a success. That's an improvement.
He's found a middle ground, guys.
Good for him. Kirk Cousins, 21-29, 172 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. At least you could say he wasn't turning the ball over. Take it as you will. Both these teams did not have good performances by their quarterbacks because on the other side of the football, you had Jimmy G. He went 11 for 19, 130 yards, 1 touchdown. He got outdueled by Kirk Cousins. And people think that he's the future of the Niners, where I'm still not sold on Jimmy. He's been above average at best through the entire regular season, and now he goes and kind of shits the bed. To be fair, the Vikings do have a very good defense, very well-rounded defense. But 11 for 19, 130 yards, 1 touchdown is probably not good enough in most playoff games.
Yeah, no, but they have a really good team around him, which ended up saving him. But especially if their rushing game wasn't as good as it is, they definitely would have lost this game.
Yeah, no, the only reason the Niners won this game really is because of their rushing attack. Tevin Coleman, I think he's listed on the IR for this week with back. He's listed as a back injury because he carried this team for 60 fucking minutes. Tevin Coleman, 22 carries, 105 yards, 2 big-time touchdowns. That is a playoff performance right there, and that's what allowed the Niners to actually win the football game.
And the craziest thing, that was even the best rushing stats of this week.
No. We'll get to that game next. At least on the Niners defensively, too. Nick Bosa, first playoff game of his career, 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 pass deflection, and 3 hits on the quarterback. Kirk Cousins was failing him all day. That led to Kirk Cousins' semi-mediocre day. And Nick Bosa, I know it's the playoffs, and technically the playoffs aren't supposed to count towards Defensive Player of the Year and all those awards. But if we're being honest, it definitely does. And Nick Bosa is
He'll definitely win Defensive Rookie of the Year. If it wasn't for sure yet, it is for sure now.
He's at least winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Hey, he's still up there for Defensive Player of the Year, too. Him, Chandler Jones, a couple other guys. We'll see how that turns out. But
Chandler Jones did just win the NFL 101 Defensive Player of the Year in the NFC, and Stephon Gilmore won it in the AFC. If for you guys who don't know what that is, the NFL 101 is they ask for the vote of 101 media people to vote on who they believe is the Defensive Player of the Year, and they ask for AFC and NFC one. So Gilmore AFC, Chandler Jones in NFC, and yeah.
Thanks for the insight, Jalen. Not the only award
No
Chandler
problem.
Jones probably going to win this NFL offseason. All around, to recap that game, kind of boring. I was okay missing that because I was on my road trip from Sacramento to Boise back to school. And I didn't miss much, so I was okay with that. The next game, I was really glad I was able to catch, and that was the Tennessee Titans at the number 6 Tennessee Titans at the number 1 Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens got smacked at home. They lost 28-12. And
they had dominated.
Who the hell was expecting this one?
The Titans.
Thanks. Any fans actually expecting this one? Well, to be fair, I wasn't surprised that the Titans won, but I was surprised in the fashion in which they won. because
My opinion on the game was
Mhm.
I assumed whoever got the running game going first was going to win the game. Because it's really hard when two great running teams go against each other. The clock's going to be going away fast.
Yep.
So then when you have to revert to throwing at some point and the clock's already been ran down to shit, then it's already too late to come back.
Exactly. The Titans heavily deployed the bend but don't break defense. The Ravens, through the regular season, were the highest scoring offense in the league, averaging 33.1 points per game, and they were held to 12 points, even though that their offense had 530 total yards. And that's the definition of bend but don't break. It's okay to give up yards like that as long as you're able to play really good red zone defense, be able to get interceptions, be able to get fumbles, and be able to just hold them when it matters most. Great performance in that category by the Titans defense, which I think is the most underrated defense in the NFL.
Definitely.
Yeah, I still love old Broncos player from the 2000s, Wesley Woodyard, early 2010s as well. Wesley Woodyard, linebacker, used to play for the Broncos. Love the guy. Now he's laying wood for the Tennessee Titans. Much support to him. Honestly, I would love to see a Titans
On his way to AFC Championship. Yeah.
Damn right he is.
I definitely would like to see them there. I love, because everyone loves a good underdog story.
Who doesn't like an underdog?
So it's kind of hard to because unless it's your team playing, and you see that underdog team, and you're not personally invested, it's you really root for the underdog. You're kind of like, it'd be crazy if this team won today.
Exactly.
It's like if the Dolphins had gone 0-15 and they were playing the Patriots in week 16.
17.
You'd want the Dolphins to win.
Exactly. Let's move on. Lamar Jackson. Semi-poor game passing wise. 31 for 59, 365 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Passing yards weren't bad, but those 2 interceptions were killers in that game. Rushing, he led at least the Ravens in rushing. 20 carries, 143 yards. Lamar Jackson had a piss poor QBR. I think it was in the 40s or something like that. But the thing is, before I talk about this, Ryan Tannehill, let's go over his stats real quick. 7 for 14, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. My big point between the two is you can't have your quarterback throw the ball for 59 times and expect to win the football game, whereas the Titans were able to throw the football 14 times. Well, 15. Derrick Henry did have a passing touchdown.
Exactly.
The Titans threw the ball 15 times and still won the football game. Won the football game by 16 points. That's always the thing. If your quarterback has to go out and throw almost 60 times a game, that means your rushing attack isn't working. That means you're not having good possession of the football, and that means you're probably not going to win that football game. It's remarkable that the Titans were able to win that game while not even throwing for 20 times. Ryan Tannehill throwing 50%, but he still had 2 tutters, then third with the rushing, and that's enough, and that just shows how dominant that team is rushing the ball, because Derrick Henry, workhorse this game, 30 carries, 195 yards, and a passing touchdown to Corey Davis. Derrick Henry is the definition of a workhorse, and his performance on that Saturday night game was ridiculous.
Is the definition of a problem.
A problem.
That's what, if you Google a problem in the definition, a picture of Derrick Henry pops up. That and Kamaru Usman. But for now, right now, in the context of which we're talking about, Derrick Henry will pop up as a problem.
Derrick Henry is on another level. I think so. I don't have that. He's over he has almost 550 yards through 2 playoff games. Or it was through the, no, it was through 3 games or something like that. I'm just getting this stat off the top of my head. The last player to do that was Terrell Davis, was a record holder for most yards over a 3-game span. It was 513 or something like that. That was probably from his season when he ran for 2,000 yards. Derrick Henry broke that record by 30 yards, I think. Derrick Henry is I feel like he came out of nowhere halfway through the season, and he has not slowed down one damn bit. I really thought that the Ravens had the best chance of any team to stopping this Derrick Henry rushing attack, and they failed tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely came down to the one thing I thought would stop the Ravens is someone having to outrun them, which I said on our last show is I don't think a lot of people could outrun the Ravens. I was wrong. The Titans definitely outran the Ravens. But that was just, it's the only way to beat a great rushing team is to stop their rush and run on them. Because they're going to keep trying to run the ball.
Yeah.
And if you run the ball too, clock's getting chewed. If you can take an early lead and keep stopping them, they're going to have to revert to do something they normally do not want to do. And that's when you take over the game, which is exactly what the Titans did.
All I know is that Derrick Henry, I love the Titans going after the game, yelling big trust everywhere. You got, a fan from the stands gave Derrick Henry a crown to wear for King Henry. And the Titans,
King Henry, all hail King Henry.
Led behind the tank of Derrick Henry, they are rolling into the AFC Championship game.
And also, I would like to point out that last week, me and Ross did have a wild card review and a divisional round prediction for the rest of the playoffs.
Yes, we did.
And we did predict that Lamar Jackson was going to throw for 350 plus yards.
Yes, we did.
I made a couple other crazy predictions, but I don't remember if they came true or not.
No, they didn't. Long story short, they didn't. Moving on to the first game of Sunday afternoon, that was the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. And after the first quarter, no one could guess that this game was going to end with the Chiefs winning 51-31. So, the first quarter of this game was ridiculous. Crazy. No one saw this one coming either. Texans got out to a 21-0 lead in the first quarter, ended up going up 24-0 in early second quarter, but then the Chiefs flipped the switch and put up 41 straight points on that Texans defense and ran away with the game. Jalen, what were your thoughts when you were watching this go down?
My first thought was when they went up 24-0, and then in that second quarter when they got into field goal range, and then it was fourth down, I believe, and I think it was like 3 or 5, somewhere around there, between 3 and 5. And they kicked the field goal, but I thought at that point, I think they should have gone for it. I think that would have just taken a little bit more out of the Chiefs. And then, you never know. The momentum's a hell of a thing. And I feel like them stopping the Texans for a field goal got them like, okay, look, we can stop them now. And then all hell broke loose. But I feel like if they would have gone for it and got that and then scored again, I feel like that would have just took a little bit more out the defense than just the field goal. And I feel like they were at that point, I feel like they were playing not to lose. And you can't do that. You can't get caught just trying to maintain. At that point, you have to go for the kill.
Not to lose against the Kansas City Chiefs offense, because you're going to lose.
Exactly. Yeah, but you can't allow it to get to a point where it might turn to a shootout. You have to. Like, they took a 21-point lead, but at that point, you have to step on the throat. You have to be confident enough to go for that.
It's not possible.
Not at all.
Too fast, too good. The Chiefs score. The big turning point in this game was a few minutes into the second quarter. The Chiefs ended up putting 21 points on the board within 3 minutes and change. This came off of a touchdown. Then they had fumble on the kickoff return by the Texans. Then the Chiefs go and score another touchdown. And Travis Kelce had 2 of those. And Travis Kelce had the game. The Chiefs ended up going up 28-24 at halftime. Put a couple more touchdowns on to start the second half. Going to the fourth quarter, 1 more touchdown, 1 more field goal, and that was it. Patty Mahomes led the charge, record-breaking 5 touchdowns this game, along with 23 for 35, 321 yards. He was also the Chiefs' leading rusher with 7 carries for 53 yards. Travis Kelce had one hell of a day. 10 catches, 134 yards, and 3 big-time touchdowns. This dude, Travis Kelce, was unstoppable in the red zone, and he's a bad man.
Definitely.
He is a bad
man.
Imagine, possibility, we could see a matchup of Travis Kelce and George Kittle.
That'd be crazy.
I honestly think, hear me out real quick, George Kittle would be a way better tight end than Travis. He's already, I think, a better tight end than Travis Kelce. But imagine if George Kittle had Patrick Mahomes.
Ouch.
Shit's
That's
going
just
down.
an ouch. That's all you can say about that. It's an ouch.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson actually had a good showing in this loss. 31 for 52, 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But if you look at that 31 and 52, that's going back to my point about the Titans and Ravens game, is that if your quarterback has to throw out more than 40 times, something is going really wrong, and you're probably not going to win that football game. Straight up. At least
Yeah, definitely.
DeAndre
If your team's
Hopkins,
getting close to... Yeah, go ahead.
No, okay. DeAndre Hopkins, 9 catches, 118 yards. You were saying, Jalen?
Like, if you're getting close to 60 passes, and the other team's not also getting close to 60 passes... It usually means that you're behind and you're just kind of throwing it around.
Yeah, just like the Arizona Cardinals did, huh?
Kyler Murray never threw for 60 passes.
Really? Even with that air raid?
Yeah, never threw for 50.
Huh,
I think the highest he went was like 40.
You gotta save his arm. He's a rookie. Gotta put him on a pitch count.
Rookie of the year.
Yep, no, I agree. Deshaun Watson, at least he also had 6 carries, 37 yards, and a touchdown. We'll go back to Deshaun and Lamar soon. That was just an insane game. I think that might be a divisional round classic. It was really good, and my favorite thing is there is a fan, Kansas City Chiefs fan, went viral for leaving the game at before the first quarter was over. What a fake fucking fan. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes asked about that in his press conference after game. He said, just watch from home. Dude.
Yeah. No, my question is, conspiracy theory,
ooh,
does that guy have really bad luck and he was the reason? So when he left, that's why they turned it around, because his bad luck left the stadium?
no, I think he's just a bitch fan.
Because, like, they got that commercial where the guy, he said, we score every time I go to the
You
bathroom.
can stay in the bathroom.
And
Not gonna lie, I
Yeah,
was really
exactly.
superstitious like that. Now I just stopped giving a fuck, because no matter what I do, the Broncos lose.
yeah, I do that too.
It's a hard knock. Man, But my point about that fan is, not only is he a fair weather fan, which I hate those, ride or die, but those tickets in a sold out Kansas City, in sold out Arrowhead Stadium for a divisional round for the big time Chiefs, those tickets are not cheap.
Not at all.
Even the upper deck, the nosebleeds at the nosebleeds, those are going for at least $100. And you're willing to walk out after one quarter? What the fuck, man? That's just bad financially.
Fake fan.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
that guy.
that was a bad financial decision. You heard it here first, people.
That's what I'm saying.
The Fourth and Long podcast makes great financial decisions.
Yes,
and
we
you
do.
need to too.
I guarantee you, I'm the
Get your
cheapest
chickens in
motherfucker
line.
around. Easy money.
Yep.
But as a
Get
whole,
them chickens in
crazy ass
line.
game. No
All
one,
that, whatever else he said.
no one was expecting that game. Moving on to the last game of the divisional round, that was the Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers, playing on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Nothing better than football in January in Lambeau. It's the most classic shit of all time. Seahawks, it made this interesting. It made it close late in the game, but the Packers were able to have a 28-23 victory. Late comeback attempt by the Seahawks. Packers able to hold them off. I was shocked on how this game started as well. Pack was up 21-3 at halftime. I was not expecting them to have that kind of lead on the Seahawks. I was expecting the Seahawks offense to do a little better against that Packers defense.
I think I thought the Packers were going to outshoot them. I definitely thought the Packers were going to win. I think that they were going to stop. No, I thought this game at that point. I knew the Seahawks were probably going to catch up, but I was expecting this game to be a lot more higher scoring than it was. I thought it was going to end up turning into a shootout, and it ended up not actually turning into a shootout at all. I mean, it was a pretty good game. Decent score, decent passing yards by both quarterbacks, but I think I'm not disappointed, but I definitely thought that this game was going to be like a really high scoring game.
I feel that. I totally get what you're seeing with that. Just going through the game, Pack were up 21-3 at half. Seattle started the second half with the tether, but the Packers answered right back with a 40-yard touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers to Adams. Seattle scores a TD in the third, then in the fourth, but they were unable to complete the comeback. It got really close for the Packers and those fans late in the fourth quarter, but their defense held up. Their offense was able to keep the Seattle off the field for as long as they were able to. Rodgers and Adams had a big-time game. They connected 8 times for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rodgers finished the game 16 for 27, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns of those. Great game on the ground for Jones. 21 carries, 62 yards, couple tutters. But on the other side of the ball, Wilson Lockett almost rivaled Rodgers and Adams' game, which was kind of surprising. 9 catches, 136 yards, 1 touchdown for Tyler Lockett. Wilson, he was the only reason that the Seahawks were in this game. He was the only reason the Seahawks were in the playoffs. Russell Wilson is the only reason that the Seattle Seahawks are a team that's winning more than 6 games a season, and that's a fact.
That is a fact.
That's why I think when you break it down, the MVP race between him and Lamar Jackson is going to be so close, because when I think of MVP, I measure it, the way I measure MVP and the bigger MVP is you take that player away from that team, which team performs the better or worse, or which team performs the best. If that team really tanks without that player, whereas the other team does bad but not as poorly, I think player A is a bigger MVP. That's kind of my reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think if you took either Lamar or if you took Russell away from their teams, I definitely think that both teams aren't making playoffs.
Let's save that debate for another episode before they come out with the MVP awards and all that, because we'll have some fun with that one. Russell Wilson, I was going off before I went off on that Russell Wilson tangent. 21 for 31, 277 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 carries, 64 yards. Marshawn Lynch, last couple of games, not big on the yardage, but he punches touchdowns in for that Seattle team. Last week, he had that dominant 5-yard touchdown run against the Eagles. This previous week, he has 2 touchdowns off of 12 carries for 26 yards. This game as well, honestly, might have been the most boring game out of the 4, but that's not saying... Nah. Vikings-Niners most boring from last week, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Seahawks, Packers.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the most interesting one for you?
Most interesting one? I feel like this one more of for the controversial ending, but I think that Titans-Ravens game was just because I feel like the Titans-Ravens game was more interesting because everyone kept thinking like, okay, is this when the Ravens start winning the game?
Never happened, did it?
Because they kept getting inside the red zone, so you're like, okay, they start scoring here. Is this the point where it turns around? And I feel like it was like that pretty much almost all the way down to the end of the game.
Yeah, that was my second favorite game, just from the shock factor of it all. But that Texans Chiefs game, the giant momentum swings in that, probably takes it from me. I was thoroughly impressed by the Texans offense, being able to storm back like that, and that was thoroughly impressed on how well Bill O'Brien was able to throw away that game with his absolutely piss poor game management skills. It's time. Texans fire Bill O'Brien. He's not doing any good for that franchise. They can do so much better without him. They have all the talent needed. Shit head coach. He needs to go.
Yeah, but I think they already missed the rush on all the good coaches that are left. Now you have to take a chance. And do you take a chance of getting a coach that you know can get you to playoffs? Or do you wait another year?
Who knows? I don't know what the hell the Texans are going to do. But that is our divisional round wrap-up. Now, we're going to move on to... we're going to have some questions that came from this week. We're going to start this off. Number one, first question. How will Lamar Jackson's 2019 season be remembered, especially after that divisional game?
I think one thing people are overlooking is Lamar Jackson still in that divisional game threw for 365 yards and rushed for over 100 yards, which is difficult to do. Even if your team's losing, yeah, you could say, oh, his team's losing, so he had to throw. But to throw for that many yards and also run for that many yards, lead your team in rushing, lead your team in passing, and do that pretty much. He did that all season. It wasn't like this was a one-time thing and he just happened to, this was his coming out game. All season made grown men and grown NFL players look
Premier
like high school
world-class athletes.
Yes, the best football players in the world. Made them look like trash week in and week out, breaking ankles, making them look confused on what was going on.
Souls.
And then not only did he rush on people, he threw the ball. He broke the Ravens record for single season passing touchdowns. I mean, like that. You don't do that if you're a bad quarterback.
No, I would agree with you on that statement.
I definitely think that this is probably one of the most dominant seasons by a quarterback that we've seen in a while.
Especially a sophomore.
I think it's kind of, exactly, and it's only his second season. And then, like, the way he handled after losing the game, he just said, whatever, we're coming back next year, and we're going to do it again. And the fact that he wasn't, like, a lot of people, like, we all remember Cam Newton after he lost the Super Bowl. He was a mess.
Cam Newton handled that in the worst way possible.
I do support Cam Newton in a lot of stuff he does, but I do, in my opinion, think Cam Newton handled that loss very poorly. Yeah, I think there's a lot better ways he could have handled that. And I think that the fact that Lamar Jackson is so young, and only in his second season as a quarterback, comes in and then tells everybody what he wants to do, and pretty much goes out there and does it. There were so many questions of when he was first coming out of college. Can he run on NFL teams like he ran on college teams? Or his accuracy, his throwing ability. Can he lead a team? And I feel like he answered all those questions very quickly for us. I think this season will be remembered as one of the most dominant seasons by a quarterback in a long time.
Agree with you. The thing was, he wasn't just dominant; he was consistently dominant, and that was the most impressive thing to me. He was putting in numbers and putting on solid performances week in and week out. Russell Wilson started off the season off, but he kind of tapered out. Lamar Jackson, he kept a flat. He damn near was a plateau the whole season, but that plateau was miles and miles into the sky. It was impressive as hell. I don't think that this playoff performance is going to. It shouldn't take away from his season as a whole. It will to some people because there's a lot of naysayers still about Lamar Jackson. I will fully admit I wasn't sold on him at the end of last season, especially his performance against the Chargers in the playoffs. In those last 7 games, wasn't sold. But I have totally changed my opinion on him. I will admit that I was dead wrong about Lamar Jackson last season. He has blown the league and me out of the water. I'm thoroughly impressed. I love watching him play. I love watching that Ravens team. And Lamar Jackson has one of the brightest futures in the NFL. And it's remarkable. Definitely. And no one should look at this playoff game and have that tarnish what he did in the 2019 regular season. What he did was historical. And there's no way one game can remove all that.
And one still really good game.
Yes. He didn't. 2 interceptions were bad. It was a below average, but it wasn't. It's not like he shit the bed. Not like he shit the bed.
And one of the interceptions that he did throw was absolutely not his fault.
No.
It hit his receiver directly in the hands and bounced into the air. And when a ball bounces straight into the air, the bad things happen.
Can't do anything as a quarterback about that.
There's nothing you can do.
Me and you agree. Lamar Jackson's 2019 regular season will be remembered as an absolutely remarkable and MVP caliber season, and the playoff game should not have any effect on that.
Not at all.
Next question. Who had the better performance in a loss over the weekend? Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, or Russell Wilson? I'm going to take this one first, Jalen, if you don't mind. And I'm not just going to say based on the stats. I'm going to say, for me, it wasn't Lamar Jackson. It was between Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. And I think fully, if we're not just looking at stats, we're looking at game management. I'm going to go with Russell Wilson, who did not have a better stat line than Deshaun Watson. But Russell Wilson kept that Seahawks team fighting after a piss-poor first half. They almost came back to win that game. They were really, really close to doing that. And he was just making plays that don't show up on the stat line. He was getting receivers open, making the expanding the length of the plays, trying to get people open, getting out of the pocket, and making moves. And I think Russell Wilson was the only reason that game was even close. Deshaun Watson had a great game, especially in that first half, but he kind of tapered off in the second and wasn't able to do much. It's like the Chiefs figured them out, and they were done. Russell Wilson, completely the opposite. That's why I think he had the best performance for the losing quarterbacks this weekend.
For me, I think I'm still going to go with Lamar. Because in my honest opinion, I don't think Lamar is the reason they lost. I think the rest of their team kind of faded.
I won't put on any of these 3 quarterbacks. I'm not going to put the loss on any one of them. I'll put the loss on Kirk Cousins, but I'm not going to put a loss on Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, or Russell Wilson. Won't do it.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson, best performance, just for the rushing attack, the passing still, and the one turnover that was his fault at least, or at least a couple. He had the fumble as well. That was a killer.
Yeah, he had a fumble as well.
But you think he still had the best performance?
I think he did. I don't think it was his fault that they weren't able to score. He rushed really well. He threw really well. I feel like the interceptions. I didn't see the second one, but I saw the first one good. That was a dropped one.
Second one was by the way.
Yeah, I don't see this game being Lamar's fault.
That's
at
fair.
All. And so after that, if it's not the loss in your fault, then you start going to look back at stats. And I think the fact that his running backs weren't able to run the ball well, his receivers weren't catching the ball well, and of course you're going to get to like almost 60 passes at that point.
Yeah.
But I feel like his running kept him in the game because, to be honest, if there was pretty much almost any other quarterback in the league right now in that position, we would have given up on the game.
Yes.
But there wasn't 2 minutes to where we were like, okay, this game's over. Because the entire time you're like, okay, Lamar's going to do something now. And then his team would fail him, and then it'd be like, okay, Lamar's going to do something now. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks in the league right now, even some of the top quarterbacks in the league right now, in that same situation, that we would still that long have faith that something crazy is going on.
That's a really good point you make, and I agree with you on that one. I don't agree with you enough to say he had a better performance than Russell Wilson, but you make a very solid point on that one, Jalen. Third question. Moving away from the NFL, going to college football real quick. Of course, we had LSU putting up a pretty good performance against that Clemson team. Joe Burrow breaking records, the most passing touchdowns in a single season with 59. Absolutely remarkable. My question to you is, Jalen, is Joe Burrow's college career better than Tim Tebow's? I think this is a big time question. I think we could have like a damn 20-minute debate on this one.
Yeah, I think they're both two different types of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, it's like trying to say, did Joe Burrow have a better career than Lamar? I feel like you could have the conversation if did Tim Tebow have a better career than Lamar? They're kind of similar. They both ran, but they also threw really well. But it's like,
all right, let's see who. Okay, let's word it this way then. Who would you rather is a college coach? Who would you rather have on your team? Would you rather have Tim Tebow or Joe Burrow?
I feel like I'd rather have Tim because he was more of that leader. Like he can get you to want to run to a brick wall.
Exactly. I think,
I feel like
this is a question. It is a leader. It's with even it's Tim Tebow, but Joe Burrow. Great leadership. I love the absolute amount of confidence and swagger that Joe Burrow takes with him everywhere. I loved you saw after he threw that 5th touchdown to put the game away, how he was pointing at his ring finger when he was coming off the field. Mm-hmm. Fucking love him.
Yeah.
He was smoking a cigar in the lounge after the game. He said on camera in his post-game interview that they LSU already got fitted for rings before the game. And then walking out the field and at the club later that night, he was walking around with a hat that said, I think it's like Big Dick Joe or Big Dick Burrow. The amount of confidence and swagger that man has is unreal, but he backs it up, which is why I think he's so good for it. Obviously, he has a great arm.
It's like...
Yeah, you were saying?
Yeah. It's like, I'm saying I would prefer Tim Tebow. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's more of just the leader Tim Tebow was. It's like irreplaceable.
Oh, he's one of a kind.
I'm not saying Joe Burrow. Yeah, I'm not saying I would like. I take either of them in their college career. I take either of them.
We're not saying Joe Burrow is.
I'm not even saying Joe Burrow is not a better quarterback than Tim Tebow. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, there's certain. Yeah, I feel like it's like. If I go into like halftime and my team's down 28 points mm-hmm. and my team's sad and hanging their heads, I think I want Tim Tebow in my locker room. There's different situations where I would prefer to have Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. Like if they got into a shootout, just back and forth, I want Burrow. But there's just certain situations, and I think that leadership aspect mm-hmm. to where I think I'd prefer to have Tim Tebow, especially that since it's college football. Yeah. If we're talking more NFL level, I think I take Burrow based off of the skill. But
we saw how Tebow's career went. He was a playoff winner.
For Tebow, it's more in college football. It's a whole bunch of young athletes that are ready to go. If you can get them pumped up.
Tim Tebow is all about the intangibles of an athlete, whereas Burrow has more tangibles.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I just think in college football, I'd rather have those intangibles because I feel like you can get a group. Because especially that Florida team, by any means, it was nowhere near one of the best teams. But the way Tebow and that coaching staff pumped those guys up made them really dominant.
Tim Tebow and I feel like insane.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer. But you make a really good point on that one. I still think... I'm not going to get super into it because we could debate about this for a while, and before I actually go super into it, I'd rather have a full kind of more research done before this. But I still think Tim Tebow I still think he's the most dominant quarterback to ever play in the NCAA. Up there with Vince Young, Joe Burrow now, and that it's definitely would be a hot debate, but I still say that he was really absolutely dominant. He carried the team everywhere when he won the Heisman there with Florida, and he wasn't as good as a passer, as Joe Burrow, but he was able to put balls in good windows. He was able to get a lot of zip on it. He had great passing ability in college, but that that ability to be that mobile quarterback and to be that big time the big mobile quarterback was something that Joe Burrow is. That's just not him, and that part Tebow I think might put him over the edge.
Definitely.
Let's talk about this too. So those were a few debates. Big time news out of the NFL. Just breaking a few hours before we went on today. The Carolina Panthers linebacker, team captain, leader of that defense, one of the best linebackers of the decade. Luke Kuechly has retired from the NFL at 28. Big time news, man. It's a big blow to the Carolina Panthers. Big blow to the NFL because Luke Kuechly was a amazing athlete, amazing player, amazing person off the field, and he did everything for the Carolina Panthers. He's captain. He's damn near Captain America. He's like this person that you want to emulate in every way. He was one of the nicest people.
Yeah.
But the problem, he had a lot of concussion issues. Yeah, I saw that a couple times where he got taken off the field in the car crying, and that got me because I felt so bad for him. Because I love him as a player.
Yeah.
And big time thank you for everything you did for the NFL, Luke. And you will be missed by all NFL fans.
Definitely. You
gotta protect your brain too. That's why he's retiring. And I respect that. He got his money.
Yeah.
He did great. And now he's getting on while he's still healthy-ish. But
yes.
Jalen, on the back of this news, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is Luke Kuechly a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Yes. First ballot.
I don't really think
they're going to take a little bit.
I think it's going to take a little bit just because of the fact it's going to be a debate.
Shorter career, too.
He only played 8 years. I think it's the same thing for Patrick Willis.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play very long, but he was also very dominant.
But Luke Kuechly,
my thing
future
is,
Hall of Famer?
he's definitely a future Hall of Famer. I think there's no way that you cannot put him in as a Hall of Famer is because a lot of guys today, I think it's kind of like the same thing for my argument for Sean Taylor. Is his impact on the game and the people playing it now. I think that Luke Kuechly and his 8 years of playing has revolutionized how to play linebacker and how people want to play linebacker. A lot of teams now, when they're looking for linebackers, they say they want a player like Luke Kuechly. They know they can't always get Luke Kuechly because how loyal he also was to his team. And teams want a Luke Kuechly around. He was a leader. He was a great tackler. He was great in coverage. He read offenses like the back of his hand.
Luke Kuechly was almost the prototype player. He had almost every single aspect that you could ever ask for in a linebacker.
Exactly. And it's hard the way he played football, it's hard to say that he doesn't embody everything that a Hall of Famer is. So I definitely think he has to be a Hall of Famer at some point.
I think so. See, Luke Kuechly, man, 118 games in his career, 18 interceptions he had 168 yards off those. He also had a touchdown, but he's a 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, 2012 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2013 AP Defensive Player of the Year. He's a Hall of Famer in my book. And
definitely,
it's going to be a good day when he gets in there because I can't wait for his speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a shame he retired, but he had a remarkable career, and I wish everything in the best in his future.
Definitely.
So before we wrap things up here, it's news, not as breaking news, but still headline grabbing nonetheless. Of course, anyone who's listening to the show know that me and Jalen are both really excited for the XFL starting up this year. And of course, let's go Houston Roughnecks. Represent.
Let's go LA Wildcats.
Okay, much respect. But in the XFL, Chad Ochocinco is going to be trying out tomorrow for a kicker, as a kicker, in Houston, where all the XFL teams are having the training camps, all 8 of them. Chad Ochocinco is going to have a tryout for kicker, and I hope he fucking gets it.
To be honest, yeah. I mean,
he's not a bad kicker. We saw him kick. He was in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's 1 for 1.
He kicked a PAT.
Pretty sure he's 1 for 1 in his career.
It was good.
Yeah.
There's video release of him in practice kicking a 60-yard field goal. So
yeah, so he definitely can do it.
I really want to see this. I can't wait till the footage comes out of his of his what's it called, tryouts for the rough or for the XFL.
And that's like a whole new thing because especially if he can show that he can kick, then it's a whole new thing of teams will now have to have set plays because it's Ochocinco. You don't know if he's going to run. You don't know if they're going to have a trick play. When you have that athletic kicker back there, you never know what's going to happen. So it'll definitely be something fun if he actually does end up getting a job.
It'll be good for the league. Get a big name like that, big time personality, and it'll be great TV. Who the hell wouldn't want to see that?
Definitely.
But
and also,
yeah.
Another thing I'd like to say about the XFL is it's going to be big this year when the NFL draft comes up because all those players who don't get drafted and don't make teams are then available for the XFL. And I think that's why I'm so excited for the XFL. It's because it's not trying to attach to the NFL. It's trying to be its own thing.
Chance, man. And who the hell doesn't want to see people that are overlooked, underperformed, not taken in the draft, not signed as an undrafted free agent? Who doesn't want to see them get a second chance to continue to follow their dream?
Exactly.
That's why I love the AAF. It was just a bunch of guys. There's plenty of AAF players in the league right now. The Broncos have one, and he played great during the season. They have 2 of them. And
a lot of the players are either in the NFL
dreams
now or XFL.
Going back to the whole underdog thing, all these guys are going to be underdogs, and I just want to see them perform, you know?
The league itself is an underdog.
Yeah. Vince McMahon, you crazy old son of a bitch. Do your best, man. Please, I want some football year-round. Give it to me.
I really love to have some year-round good football.
Yes.
Like AFL, I loved it, but at the same time, there were still some points where AAF, there was still a lot of times where I looked at it and I was like, this is obviously not.
All I know is go Roughnecks. Inaugural XFL champions are the Houston Roughnecks.
I think you meant LA Wildcats.
I think you meant LA. Shut the fuck up, Jalen.
I think you meant Houston. Shut the fuck up, Ross.
No, that's not what I meant.
That's not what I meant.
Okay, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
No, fuck you.
Oh, we're such a fucking healthy relationship on this podcast between the co-hosts.
Yes, we do.
Everyone. But with that, we're going to wrap things up here. Before we go, just, of course, on the video, you're going to see where to follow us. Instagram, Twitter. Big time on Twitter. Today, I just had a record-breaking tweet. Over 600 likes. And thank you, everyone who's subscribing to the Twitter and the YouTube as well. We had 4 new subscribers today on YouTube alone after some bastard tried to call us out. Hey, man, I know you're not listening to this. I really hope you are. That'd be funny as fuck. Fuck you.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Everyone on Twitter and YouTube, thank you so much for building our followers and subscribers. Your support means the absolute world to both me and Jalen. This year is off to a tremendous start. It's going to be record-breaking as fuck.
Crazy.
And you guys, just hop on the train. There's still room. Get on the train because we're about...
It's also our first full year.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, possibilities are endless. We're almost at 20 episodes, and I'm excited to see where we will be at the end of this year.
Definitely.
Of course, everyone,
and
please...
we're expanding. We're moving. We're trying to get everything ready for you guys. We're trying to get the Spotify handle.
New videos and segments as well. Me and Blake, along with Jalen, want to start a new segments with UFC, so keep a lookout for that. The UFC 246 preview show, main event, Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone. That video should be dropping within the next couple days. It might drop before this one. I'm not sure. It just depends on when I get the editing done. Okay. But thank you all so much for listening. Your support means the world.
So much.
Just like and subscribe. Share us. Jalen, your catchphrase.
Tell your grandma about us.
Thank you. I still don't understand it, but we're just going to roll with it.
Me either, but it was the first thing that came to my head, and it's going to catch on.
Oh, boy.
It's good for merch.
It's still the chemo kicking in. Everyone,
Yeah.
I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will catch you guys in the next video.